The valet at Bellamy's takes my keys with a practiced flourish. I smooth the silk of my black dress, purchased specially for tonight's celebration, at this upscale French bistro in Eden Prairie. Father's 65th birthday deserves nothing less than perfection, right down to the hand-carved ebony box tucked under my arm, containing a first-edition collection of Frank Lloyd Wright architectural sketches I spent 6 months tracking down. Champagne flutes clink as I step into the warmth of the restaurant. Over 70 guests mill about in their Friday finest, the women's jewelry catching light from crystal chandeliers. A sharp bolt of pride cuts through my nerves. I helped plan this gathering, coordinated with the event staff, triple-checked every detail. "Welcome to Bellamy's." The hostess, barely 20, glances between her tablet and my face. Her polite smile flickers. "You're at table 10. There must be a mistake." I scan the room for my mother's familiar silver bob. "I'm Colleen Whitaker, Martin's daughter." "Yes, table 10. She points toward the back corner. "The overflow section for extended family." My fingers tighten around the gift box. Through the sea of guests, I spot them, mother, father, and Garrett, seated at the elevated head table, crystal stemware glowing before them like tiny beacons. Laura, my sister-in-law, rests one hand on her slightly rounded belly as she laughs at something father says. The hostess clears her throat. "Would you like me to show you?" I know where it is. My voice comes out steady, practiced from years of managing client meetings when emotions run high. Table 10 crouches near the swinging bathroom doors. 3 distant cousins I haven't seen since last Christmas barely glance up from their phones as I take my seat. The table wobbles when I set down my drink. Father rises to speak, commanding the room's attention with the same presence that carried him through 30 years of engineering projects. "I want to thank everyone who matters most for being here tonight." His gaze sweeps the room, sliding past my corner like a spotlight avoiding the shadows. Someone taps a fork against the crystal. "Let's hear from the children. Colleen, say something about your father." Mother's voice cuts through the murmur before I can stand. "Speaking of family moments, wouldn't it be perfect if Colleen gave her beautiful Lakeview home to Garrett and Laura for their 5th anniversary? That sunroom would make such a precious nursery." The room goes silent. 70 pairs of eyes swivel toward my corner. Even the waiters pause, plates of escargot suspended mid-delivery. My hand trembles slightly as I lift my water glass. A memory flashes working until midnight for 2 years straight, sleeping on a futon to save for the down payment, the triumph of signing those final papers alone. My presence tonight is my gift. The words come out clear and cool as the lake behind my house. My home is the result of years of work and sacrifice. That should be respected. Garrett studies his plate with sudden fascination. A flush creeps up Laura's neck, staining her cheeks. Mother's fingers whiten around her champagne stem. I rise slowly, leaving the ebony box centered on the wobbling table. The gift I spent months choosing will probably end up in some charity donation bin, just like the rare botanical prints from last Christmas. As I cross the restaurant, whispers ripple in my wake like wind through tall grass. The valet scrambles for my keys, but I'm already walking toward my car, each click of my heels on pavement a small act of defiance. Inside my car, I grip the steering wheel and draw one deep breath, then another. The restaurant's lights blur in my rearview mirror as I pull away, leaving behind the warmth, the champagne, and the perfectly planned celebration. But this isn't about walking away forever. No, this is about something else entirely, something they never saw coming. What would you have done in that moment? Walk away forever or plan something they'd never forget? For me, this wasn't just about a house, it was about something far more valuable. And they were about to learn exactly what that meant. I left the venue and went to the lake. 3 days later at my home, I watched the lake rippling black under moonlight, lapping against my dock in steady rhythms that should soothe. Instead, each wave mirrors the pounding in my chest. 6 voicemails blink on my phone. Mother's number. The first 5 scroll past with quick deletions, but the last one catches my thumb. "You live alone with 2 cats. Mother's voice slices through my speakers. "That house was meant for a family. You owe us more than you think." My hand trembles as I hit delete. Ledger, my silver Maine Coon, brushes against my ankle, his purr a quiet counterpoint to the lingering echo of Mother's words. Through the bay windows, Minnesota autumn paints the maples in fire colors. My maples, my windows, my home. The doorbell chimes. A delivery man holds an arrangement of white lilies. No smile, just efficiency as he thrusts the clipboard for my signature. The card nestles among petals. You embarrassed us all, Dad. Lilies. He remembers I'm allergic. My nose starts running before I can get them to the trash. The phone rings again. Not Mother this time, a local real estate agent's number I don't recognize. The voicemail notification pops up seconds later. Miss Whitaker, just confirming Tuesday's appraisal at your Lakeview home. Your father listed himself as co-owner on the intake form, so we'll need both signatures on. Ice spreads through my chest. The spare key drawer slides open with a scrape against wood. Empty spot where the bronze key should rest. Last month's family dinner flashes through my mind. Dad accidentally taking my purse to the car, returning it 10 minutes later with an apology and a grandfatherly pat on my cheek. My laptop wakes with a touch. County records database. 3 clicks to the deed search. Property ID number memorized like my own heartbeat. Document after document scrolls past until there. Altered deed paperwork dated 2 weeks ago. A familiar signature that isn't mine. They've been planning this for months. The words fall into empty air. Ledger jumps to my desk, head, butting my chin as if confirming the betrayal. I called my lawyer and arranged a meeting the following day. The next day, Mr. Halverston's office smells of leather and lemon polish. Late afternoon sun catches silver hair as he adjusts his reading glasses, spreading documents across the mahogany desk. His eyes narrow at certain pages, widen at others. Colleen. He sets down the last paper. Your name is still on the deed for your parents' house. You never transferred it after saving it from foreclosure in 2009. The memory slams back, liquidating my 401k. The sick feeling watching years of savings vanish into one cashier's check. Mother's tears as the foreclosure notice disappeared. Dad's firm handshake, his promise to handle the paperwork. Did they ever thank you for that? Halverston's voice gentles, seeing something in my face. Tears spring hot and unwelcome. They never even acknowledged it happened. We arrange another meeting and further plans, so I go to my office. During the ride, my phone buzzes. Garrett's text fills the screen. Mom's devastated. Dad's furious. Fix this or forget being part of this family. Before I can respond, Laura's number flashes. Her voice drips honey and arsenic. We've already picked out the nursery colors for the sunroom. Perfect morning light for the baby. You wouldn't want your niece or nephew to miss out on that, would you? The warning comes from Susan at church. They're telling everyone you promised them the house years ago. Martin showed some old letters at the men's breakfast. People are talking. 20 minutes later, my office door closes with a soft click. Client files stack neat, and accusing the Hendersons' trust fund review due Thursday, Peterson portfolio rebalance needed by Friday. Reputation built over 15 years of 60-hour weeks. One whisper of family scandal could shatter it all. Later that day, evening settles over the lake. Waves lap darker now, stars pricking through purple twilight. A loon calls somewhere in the distance, its cry wild and lonely. My dock stretches into still water, boards solid under bare feet. I've been their safety net my entire adult life. The words dissolve into mist rising off the lake. Behind me, my home glows warm against gathering night. Through the bay windows, I glimpse Ledger and Equity curled on their favorite windowsill, twin guardians of all I've built. Have you ever discovered that the people who should love you most have been plotting behind your back? The evidence would change everything, and the revelation had only begun. A week later, my knuckles whiten around the steering wheel as I turn onto Lakeview Drive. 3 cars block my driveway: Dad's Lincoln, Mom's Volvo, and Garrett's Range Rover. The late afternoon sun glints off their windshields, momentarily blinding me. I park at the curb, my heart hammering against my ribs. Through my rearview mirror, I watch Mrs. Peterson's curtains twitch next door. Perfect. Nothing like an audience for the latest installment of Whitaker Family Theater. The car doors open in sync. Mom storms across my lawn, her silver bob catching sunlight. Dad follows, waving a manila envelope. Garrett hangs back, arms crossed, watching from beside his SUV. You're tearing this family apart over a house. Mom's voice carries across the manicured gardens I spent 3 years perfecting. Your own brother needs a proper home for his baby. A laugh bubbles up in my throat, bitter as black coffee. And my home is the solution to Garrett's problems again? This isn't about Garrett. Dad thrust the envelope toward me. This is about family obligation. You have 1 week to sign these transfer papers. The roses I planted last spring bend in the wind, their petals scattering across the grass. Across the street, the Hendersons have stopped watering their lawn to watch. Mrs. Peterson's front door creaks open. No, the word comes out soft but steady. What did you say? Mom's voice climbs an octave. I said no. I adjust my laptop bag on my shoulder, stepping around them toward my front door. And you're trespassing. Trespassing? Dad's face flushes crimson. We're your parents. Who apparently think they can steal my property. The key slides into the lock with a satisfying click. Everything goes through my attorney now. Please leave. This isn't over. Garrett's voice carries from the driveway. Not by a long shot. I close the door on their protests, engaging all 3 locks. My hands shake as I drop my bag, but my mind stays clear. In my home office, I pull out the accordion file I've been building for weeks. The papers inside tell a story 20 years in the making. Bank statements, tax records, loan applications, each document a thread in a tapestry of betrayal. The first loan application stops my breath. Garrett's signature, my address as collateral. 3 more applications follow, each for larger amounts. An email chain between Mom and Dad discusses solving Garrett's debt problem with Colleen's house. Old photos spill from a folder. My high school graduation dwarfed by pictures of Garrett's football games. My MBA ceremony tucked behind snapshots of Garrett's failed restaurant opening. A pattern written in Kodak moments. The tears come without warning. They splash onto my mahogany desk, darkening the wood in perfect circles. I've spent decades building walls of spreadsheets and profit margins, telling myself I didn't need their approval. Now those walls crumble like wet paper. An hour later, my phone buzzes. A text from Rebecca. Lunch tomorrow? You shouldn't be alone with this. Before I can respond, Thomas from IT sends a message. Heard about the situation. I install security systems on weekends. Let me help. A voicemail notification blinks. Laura's sister Jennifer, her voice tight with concern. They don't know I'm calling, but you need to know about Garrett's gambling. The debts, they're worse than anyone realizes. I lean back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. All these years, I thought being alone meant being strong, but strength flows in from unexpected channels, like sunshine through stained glass. The next morning, I stride into the Minneapolis law office, my heels clicking against marble floors. 5 attorneys sit around a polished conference table, papers spread before them like battle plans. Miss Whitaker, Sandra Chen, the lead counsel, gestures to the chair beside her. We've reviewed everything. There's something you need to see. She slides a document across the table. My eyes scan the page, catching on key phrases. Original deed, transfer never recorded, 2009 crisis. After you saved their house during the recession, Sandra says, your parents never filed the paperwork to transfer the deed back to their names. Legally, you own both properties outright. The weight of those words settles in my chest. What are my options? Sandra's smile reminds me of a chess master seeing 3 moves ahead. How much justice would you like? That evening, I sit on my dock, watching the sun paint the lake in watercolor shades of orange and pink. A family of ducks cuts through the reflection, creating ripples that spread to the shore. My phone fills with messages from friends offering support, advice, spare rooms if needed. Each one a reminder that family isn't always about blood. The security company arrives at dawn. As they install cameras and change locks, I draft an email to my attorney. 3 words that will change everything. Proceed as discussed. Behind me, the lake sparkles like scattered diamonds. Ahead, storm clouds gather over the city. I've spent my life being the family lighthouse, guiding everyone else to safe harbor while staying anchored in place. But lighthouses don't move for ships that refuse to see their light. Sometimes they just stand firm, letting the waves break against their foundations, keeping their light burning for those who truly need it. The first raindrops fall as I hit send. The security footage plays in grainy black and white on my laptop screen. Mother uses her spare key with practiced ease, pushing open my front door at 2:17 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon. Father follows, carrying what looks like a professional camera. They move through my home like prospective buyers at an open house, photographing windows, measuring doorways, discussing something I can't hear through the silent recording. Laura appears in frame at 2:36 p.m., cradling her belly as she runs her fingers along my custom kitchen cabinets. Her phone comes out, snapping pictures of the sunroom, my sunroom. The one where I drink coffee every morning, watching cardinals flit between feeders. I pause the footage, stomach clenching. They measured the nursery dimensions while I was at work. Thomas, my firm's head of IT security, leans back in his chair. His weathered hands, spotted with age, rest on the conference room table. The system caught 4 separate visits last month. Want me to keep going? No. The word comes out sharp as breaking glass. I've seen enough. I call Mr. Halverston again, get the instructions, and head towards the estate attorney. 2 hours later, I sit across from Gloria Chen, the estate attorney Mr. Halverston recommended. Her silver hair catches afternoon light as she reviews the footage stills, security logs, and property records spread across her desk. The evidence is unambiguous. Gloria's voice carries the weight of 40 years in family law. We can file a restraining order today. They entered your property without permission for the explicit purpose of planning an unauthorized transfer of ownership. My hand trembles slightly as I sign the paperwork. Do it. The locksmith arrives at sunset, methodically replacing every lock while I watch from my kitchen window. The sound of drilling drowns out my mother's latest voicemail playing on speaker. After all we've done for you, Colleen. Her voice wavers with practiced emotion. Your father and I gave you everything, and this is how you repay us? Delete. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. A friend from church trying to mediate the situation. 3 more messages roll in from family acquaintances, each one carrying subtle accusations wrapped in concern. I silence my phone and walk to my home office. The wall safe clicks open, revealing 30 years of carefully organized papers. Property deeds, bank statements, tax records. The truth, written in numbers that don't lie. The next morning, I send a single email to our extended family. For my own well-being, I need to share some facts about our family's financial history. I've attached documentation to support each point below. I ask only that you review these records with an open mind. My fingers pause over the keyboard. In my mind, I see Christmas dinners, graduation parties, Sunday brunches after church. Decades of keeping quiet, staying agreeable, being the responsible one. The good daughter. No more. I attach the first PDF, bank records, showing the liquidation of my 401k to save my parents' home in 2009. The second, 3 years of mortgage payments I covered while father was between jobs. The third, receipts for Garrett's gambling debt payments, carefully hidden from Laura. The final attachment. Security footage, screenshots, dated and time-stamped, showing my family planning to take my home while I worked to pay off their debts. Send. By afternoon, the responses trickle in. Aunt Margaret's shocked reply. I had no idea about the house in 2009. Cousin Peter's terse message. This changes things. Uncle James, who always favored Garrett. Why didn't you tell us sooner? Laura appears in my office doorway at 3 p.m., tears streaming down her face. You're destroying our family. I don't look up from my computer. The security desk shouldn't have let you up. Garrett told me everything. Her voice cracks. About the gambling, the debts, all of it. I'm so sorry, Colleen. I didn't know. Now I meet her eyes. But you knew about planning my nursery without asking. She leaves without answering. My office phone blinks with 17 messages. The church pastor wants to discuss honoring thy father and mother. Father tried calling my managing partner directly. Mother showed up at my favorite coffee shop to ambush me before work. I drive home as sunset paints the lake gold. A real estate agent's car idles in my parents' driveway, the home I saved, the deed I never transferred back. Caroline steps out, portfolio in hand. Perfect timing. She smiles, brushing silver-streaked hair from her face. I've completed the market analysis you requested. Unless you have questions, we can list them by the end of the week. I think of Mother's voicemail. After all we've done for you. List it, I say. And Caroline, make sure the listing mentions the property's unique ownership situation. Full disclosure. That night, I sit on my dock, watching stars emerge over still water. The security lights cast protective circles around my home. New locks gleam on every door. The alarm system hums, quietly guarding my boundaries. My phone lights up with Garrett's name. Straight to voicemail. The lake breeze carries a hint of autumn. Soon the maples will turn crimson, the oaks will blaze orange. The house my parents tried to take will shelter me through another Minnesota winter. I pull my sweater closer, savoring its soft warmth. This ends now, I whisper to the gathering dark. And it ends my way. Somewhere in the distance, a loon calls across black water. Its cry sounds like laughter. 4 days later at the company, the crisp white envelope from Anderson and Mitchell Law arrives at precisely 9 o'clock. Father's attorney presents their final offer with the confidence of a man who has never lost a negotiation. I scan the terms, noting how they've structured it to sound generous. Retain full ownership of Lakeview property in exchange for releasing all claims to family residents. My phone buzzes. Garrett's number flashes on screen, marking his 5th call today. The staccato knock at my office door makes me jump stands there, flanked by a young couple straight from a real estate brochure. The woman clutches a designer handbag, her French manicure catching the fluorescent light. 10 minutes Elster. Meet the Petersons. Garrett announces without waiting for an invitation. They're buying your house next month. Already picked out nursery colors. I lift my eyes from the settlement offer, taking in his familiar swagger. The same look he wore when he borrowed my college fund for his first failed business venture. Security will escort you out in 60 seconds. Mom's blood pressure. 50 seconds. The Petersons shuffle backward, their perfect smiles cracking. Garrett's face flushes that particular shade of red it always does before he loses control. You selfish. Security. I speak into my phone. Unauthorized visitors at office 412. They vanished before the elevator chimes. I settle back in my chair, reviewing the morning's emails. 3 church members wanting to facilitate reconciliation. Father's golf buddy suggesting I consider the bigger picture. Mother's doctor detailing her concerning symptoms brought on by family stress. The same pressure points they've pushed my entire life, but this time, something's different. I open my laptop, pulling up the final documentation. New owners, complete paperwork, 30-day notice, everything in perfect order. My cursor hovers over the send button as years of memories flash through my mind, signing away my savings to save their house in 2009, sleeping on a futon while Garrett borrowed rent money, watching them plan my future without once asking what I wanted. Click. The next day, the security footage streams to my monitor. The courier arrives at their front door precisely at noon. Mother's hand trembles as she signs for the certified letter. Father's face transforms as he reads confusion, shock, rage, cycling across his features like slides in a projector. Their Mercedes screeches into my driveway at 12:47. Mother stumbles out first, her silver bob disheveled. Father pounds the front door, each blow echoing through my doorbell camera's speaker. Colleen Marie Whitaker, open this door immediately. I press the intercom button. My voice emerges steady, practiced from 1,000 client meetings where emotions ran high. The house has been sold. Your belongings will be placed in storage. The new owners take possession in 30 days. You can't, Mother's voice breaks. That's our home. Was your home? Just like my college fund was my money, my retirement savings were my security, my house was my achievement. Each word falls like a gavel strike. You taught me well. Family takes care of family, right? Father's fist connects with the door again. I'll destroy you for this. Your career, your reputation. Martin, Mrs. Henderson calls from next door. Step away from that door or I'm calling the police. Mind your own business, Susan. 10 minutes later, red and blue lights flash at the end of the driveway. Officer Rivere know him from Neighborhood Watch meeting steps out of his cruiser. Everything all right here, folks? Mother crumples onto my front steps, sobs racking her shoulders. Father spins toward the officer, jabbing his finger at my door. My daughter, she's stolen. Has legally sold her own property, I correct through the speaker. Officer Rivera, I have documentation ready if needed. The whispers start that evening. Calls and texts trickle in from extended family, church members, country club acquaintances. Garrett makes 17 attempts to access the Children's Education Trust before his lawyer explains it's ironclad. Mother and father tour 3 apartment complexes, their realtor dropping hints about downsizing with dignity. The next week at the court, the final hearing takes 15 minutes. Judge Marshall peers over her reading glasses as she reviews the documentation. Mr. and Mrs. Whitaker, your daughter's ownership of both properties is clearly established. Her sale of the family residence falls well within her legal rights. She pauses, tapping her pen against the bench. Given the evidence of attempted property theft and ongoing harassment, I'm granting the no-contact order. Father slumps in his chair. For the first time, I notice how the skin sags beneath his chin, how his shoulders curve inward. Mother stares straight ahead, her fingers working the strap of her purse like rosary beads. 10 minutes later, my heels click against marble as I exit the courthouse alone. The October sun warms my face, and a weight I've carried since childhood lifts from my shoulders. Not even the sight of Laura sobbing into Garrett's shoulder by their car dims the sensation. Peace, I realize, watching a maple leaf spiral down to the courthouse steps. All these years, I thought I was fighting for property, for recognition, for justice. But I was fighting for something far more valuable. I was fighting for my freedom. The leaf touches down, brilliant red against white marble. Somewhere in the city, my parents are facing their first night knowing they have 30 days to leave their home of 40 years. Garrett is probably already planning his next manipulation. The whispers will continue, the judgment, the small-town speculation. But for the first time in my life, none of it touches me. I unlock my car, adjust my rearview mirror, and drive toward the lake. Toward my home. Toward the life I choose, not the one chosen for me. What price would you put on your peace of mind? For me, it wasn't about revenge, it was about finally being free. But freedom, I'm learning, comes with its own unexpected challenges, and I'm ready for every single one. I got my freedom and peace completely after a year. At the present, the morning sun glints off Lake Harriet as I settle into my reading chair, a worn leather piece rescued from an antique store in Stillwater. Through the bay windows, autumn paints the shoreline in crisp oranges and deep reds. My coffee steams in its economics make sense Muga gift from my newest mentee, Sarah. The phone buzzes. Sarah's name lights up the screen, right on schedule for our weekly check-in. Miss Whitaker, I got the promotion. Her voice trembles with pride. I used that negotiation strategy you taught me. When my boss tried the guilt trip about the team being a family, I remembered what you said about professional boundaries. Call me Colleen, I remind her, smiling as Ledger stretches across my feet. And congratulations, you earned this through your own merit. Like you did with your house. She pauses. Thank you for sharing your story. It helped me understand I wasn't alone. After we hang up, I walk through rooms that finally feel completely mine. The formal dining room now holds my hydroponic herb garden. The sunroom where Laura once planned a nursery has transformed into my home office, walls lined with financial textbooks and framed investment certificates. In the backyard, my vegetable garden thrives where Garrett once marked spots for a playground. I kneel in the soil, tucking mulch around late-season tomatoes. The lake breeze carries distant laughter from passing boats, no longer setting my teeth on edge with guilt about living here alone. My therapist, Dr. Chen, calls this reclaiming space. Last session, she noted how I've stopped apologizing for my choices. You've built more than a home, she said. You've built peace. She's right. Peace blooms in small moments, cooking elaborate meals just for myself, leaving projects spread across the kitchen table overnight, playing classical piano at midnight without worrying about disturbing anyone. The house echoes with possibility instead of obligation. My phone chimes with updates from the foundation I started the Fresh Start Fund. We're reviewing applications for next semester's scholarships. Each candidate reminds me of myself at 22, ambitious, hardworking, tangled in family expectations that threaten to strangle their dreams. Walking back inside, I notice the small brass plaque beside my front door catching sunlight. The Whitaker Havenist, 2021. Not a legacy of martyrdom, but of metamorphosis. The afternoon brings Jennifer and Mark from my weekly dinner group. We prep vegetables for stir fry, trading stories about our latest adventures. Jennifer just returned from hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, something she'd postponed for decades while caring for her aging parents. Speaking of adventures, Mark says, sliding chopped carrots into a bowl. Have you booked that Mediterranean cruise yet? I nod, warmth spreading through my chest. 2 weeks in June, my first real vacation in 15 years. Look who's finally spending some of that hard-earned money on herself, Jennifer teases, bumping my shoulder with hers. The kitchen fills with cooking aromas and easy conversation. No one here expects me to shrink myself, to sacrifice my joy for their comfort. My chosen family celebrates each step I take toward wholeness. Later, we carry our plates to the deck overlooking the lake. The setting sun paints the water in shades of amber and rose. Talk flows naturally between work stories and future plans, punctuated by genuine laughter. To building the life we choose, Mark raises his wine glass, not the one chosen for us. The words resonate like a bell struck clear and true. 1 year ago, I sat alone in this house, surrounded by guilt and others' expectations. Now, friendship and purpose fill these rooms. After my guests leave, I walk down to my private dock. Stars emerge above the lake's darkening surface. Last week's mail included a Christmas card from Laura's sister, photos of the children building a snowman. I've arranged for their college funds through a trust, structured so Garrett can't access the money. Some bonds survive transformation. My parents live across town now, in a modest apartment complex. Dad's health struggles with the adjustment, but they're learning to stand on their own feet. The monthly updates from extended family grow less frequent, more respectful of new boundaries. A young woman I mentored through the foundation sent a letter yesterday. You showed me it's okay to choose myself. Your story gave me permission to want more. The next day, standing on the dock, I watch my reflection in the gentle waves. The woman gazing back no longer flinches at choosing her own happiness. She's learned that true strength often looks like saying no to others and yes to herself. Inside, Ledger and Equity curl on the window seat, silhouetted against the last purple light of dusk. Their peaceful presence reminds me that family can be as simple as sharing space with souls who accept you exactly as you are. I settle back into my reading chair, opening the course materials for the financial literacy program I'm teaching this weekend. The lake whispers outside, constant as a heartbeat. This is what victory feels like, not a triumphant march, but a quiet certainty that fills your lungs with every breath. One choice at a time, I've built something precious, a life that belongs entirely to me. The peace I found here outweighs any fortune they tried to claim. Some might call it selfish, choosing your own path over family obligation. I call it survival, growth, truth. In the end, it wasn't about the house at all. It was about honoring the voice inside that had whispered enough for so many years. About learning that boundaries aren't walls, they're foundations upon which we build our truest lives. The stars brighten over Lake Harriet as night deepens. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new opportunities to stand firm in my choices. But tonight, in this moment, I am exactly where I belong. At peace, at home, finally, gloriously free.